Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron, New Life Church of Albany. Hope you're having a great day in Jesus. Wilbur Pickering, when this book, or some permutation of this book, let me add, came out in the 1970s, published by Thomas Nelson, you're talking about dropping a bomb on textual criticism, the fields of textual criticism, because Pickering came out kind of in favor of the majority Byzantine text at a time when that field of study was considered pretty much closed. That the Nestle's Island, the United Bible Society's text had won the field, cleared the field, won the day, much like, the theory of evolution has in some circles or many circles today. And I remember when I first got my copy of it, probably from the Dean Burgon Society or the Bible for Today or somebody, like a copy of this would have been in the days before Amazon and all this, or if Amazon was just starting out. And that the basic premise of it is the Identity of the New Testament Text by Wilbur Pickering, if you were to look at the epistle to Ephesus, for example, then what would the exemplars of the earliest known epistles of the Ephesians look like closest to Ephesus? And by doing that with various books where they would have been at, he was able to piece together the primacy of the Byzantine majority text. Now, he has since come out to some conclusions that he feels like he knows which text is it. Now, he's a missionary in Brazil or something at the moment, but it is a particular family of manuscripts that he feels like he has traced. Now, in this particular volume, which is 384 pages, I'm going to be letting you look through some of the bibliography. I mean, he is learned in the field. He basically deconstructs or casts serious doubt on certain Westcott and Hort theories. He's got a theology master's and a PhD. I'm just reading that. So, this is just an excellent book for that field. Now, I haven't read this book from cover to cover, just been reading through it. I'm looking at some of the places I've marked in here. May run to a couple places and just show us some of the things in here. But the bibliography, so many books like this, the bibliographies where so much of the value comes in. Okay, I see no way of accounting for 95% or 90% domination unless that text goes back to the autographs. Hort saw the problem and invented a revision. Harry Sturz, his book is fantastic as well. It was like a Moody in the early 50s theological text. And Sturz seems to have not seen the problem. He demonstrates that the Byzantine text type is early and independent of the Western Alexandrian text type, and like von Soden, which is where many people say we get the majority text from today, wishes to treat them as three equal witnesses. But if the three text types were equal, how could the so-called Byzantine ever gain a 90 to 95% preponderance? The argument from statistical probability enters here with a vengeance. Not only do the extant manuscripts present us with one text form enjoying a 95% majority, but the remaining 5% do not represent a competing text form. And that's really one of the biggest people who believe in modern textual criticism that I don't think they account for at all. And so when Burgon goes and counts the differences between Sinaiticus and Vaticanus in the Gospels, you're dealing with several thousands of major material differences. And then in Codex Alexandrinus, same thing. that it's not necessarily a Byzantine text type versus an Alexandrian text type. It's a Byzantine text type versus an eclectic text type, whether it's Codex D, Bezae, Washingtonius, and the aforementioned, Sinaiticus, Vaticanus, Alexandrinus, that they're not a unified, they're not a unified section of manuscripts at all. Rather, we have to judge between 95% and a fraction of 1%, comparing the majority text with the P75b Greek text, for example, or to take a specific case in 1 Timothy 3:16, some 600 Greek manuscripts beside the lectionaries read God, only 9 read something else. Of these 9, 3 have private readings, and so 6 agree in reading who? That's a tremendous point. And he's got, even in the footnotes, he's got different, 3 lectionaries, 1 lectionary, he's got the lectionaries. Just incredible information here. The divine preservation of the original wording of the general epistles. As a point of departure for this discussion, I will use the definition of preservation written by Bart D. Ehrman, which Ehrman was a big follower of Metzger, but he took Metzger really to what I consider as logical conclusions that there really is no Bible. He limits the concept of preservation in a way that verges on the creation of a straw man, but his definition serves my present purpose very nicely. It's obvious that option 1 cannot stand, but what of options 2 and 3? Just going into this. New Testament textual criticism, search for methods, master's divinity thesis, Princeton Theological Seminary, from a copy he sent to me personally. He also has a footnote. Pickering does. I consider also that the preservation of the New Testament text is a strong argument for its canonicity. Why did God preserve only the 27 books that form that canon? No more, no less, no others. Another footnote I'll just read. There are comparatively few manuscripts, about 60 of the complete New Testament, and about 150 more that have all but Revelation. Because of the bulk and the physical and financial difficulty of gathering enough leather, the 4 Gospels were copied as a unit, and so for the letters of Paul, including Hebrews and general epistles, Acts were usually joined to Genesis, but not always. And there are many manuscripts, over 300, that for Acts, Paul, and Genesis, Revelation were added here and there. So things like that, since the autographs did not contain chapter-verse divisions or even division between words, anything less than a whole book will not be convincing. Added identity of the New Testament text, Nashville, Thomas Nelson, 1977. Now see this present edition of which this appendix is a part. So the footnotes have amazing stuff in it as well, I guess is my point. Let me just show you this. I mean, he goes into in-depth comparisons, much like Jack Mormon does in some of his books. So I really could not recommend this book more highly. You can get them on Amazon. Just very well done. And so he may not be specifically, King James best, King James only, whatever camp, Cloud, Ruckman, Ripplinger, Gip that you're in, but he definitely disproves the primacy of Westcott and Hort, the Nestle's Holland Greek text. So the identity of the New Testament text for Wilbur Pickering, man, I'd get it. God bless. Talk with you later in Jesus' name.